I like to say that if in global health you're trying to do something new, that's to probably about the 10th power because of various challenges with structure and resources. So this is not for the meek at heart. This is really for folks who are passionate but are also going to be persevering. And then there's a movie that came out pretty recently, and thanks to my wife, I saw it a few times, Julia and Julia, and the idea that you can't make a good omelet without breaking a few eggs. So I think, I guess to be a little bit self-depreciating, I guess I'll consider myself one of those eggs. So I think we're all a part of that. So find your moyo, find your soul, find your heart. What is your passion? What is your mission statement? This is, I was in Swaziland this past year, and one of the highest, actually the highest rate for extreme resistant TB, and visiting some of the medical centers there. And I was just very impressed. You know, it's easy to look at figures and make assumptions about what might be going on in country. But I can tell you and assure you that there are people on the ground who are working as hard as anyone I've ever met, every day, 6, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. And what's very important to them is the idea when the community comes to them, they know how they're being served and the dedication of that staff to them. So this is just an example, but what is your passion? I ask that as a rhetorical question, but maybe think about that as we get to a little bit of the poll later on. So my passion, I love to roll up the sleeves. I'm a roll up the sleeves type of person. I'm not a big tie and suit person. But when you're asked to come to give a talk at the UN, you find your suit and you find your ties. And you make sure that your shirt is pressed, which I was staying with my in-laws the other day, and thank God for my mother-in-law because she made assured that I was wearing a very nice shirt for today. So personally, I've had the true privilege of working since 1999 with about 300 students, both undergrad and graduate. And in the last 6 years, I've taken on 80 of those students in the field, mostly in Tanzania, and there's a few other places, but I've been in residence. And next week, just so you can appreciate, I say leaving for next Thursday, I have about a dozen students this year already there, and there'll be another 6 coming, working in the field around topics like monitoring HbA1c, same-day testing, microfinance for physicians to expand practices, and we actually, one of the most exciting things for me, probably a once or if you're lucky, once in a generation or once in every other generation, working on launching a new hospital. Now I just want to mention clearly these activities are working with very astute, very talented local Tanzanian colleagues, but these projects are being worked on by folks like you, folks who are undergrad, folks who might be graduate, and so these are all things that you have the capability of working on. So I see that I'm going to be, I was just given a 10-minute warning, so I hope, can I maybe have a liberty of a few extra minutes before
30 seconds.
Okay, great. So a couple things also that's important is I wear a couple hats. One is from the public health side, and from the public health side you hear a lot of what we heard this morning, things that we'll pick up. You'll hear things like this estimate of how many women or children may be affected or die each year, in this case from maternal or child death. But there's another hat that I wear as well, which is the business hat. And in this case, we heard the expression, talk the talk, walk the walk. You also need to talk about terms like liability, risk, IP, return on investment. And it's important because to be pigeonholed in one sort of hat, but not being aware that there are many other hats in the room, you can, unfortunately, you may not progress your agendas as much as you would like. So it's important to be able to either wear multiple hats or appreciate the fact that there are multiple hats in that room. So why youth matters? Let me just quickly, anyone brave enough to want to stand up and say, why does youth matter? Why do you matter? Anyone? I see a hand back there, yeah.
Well, we have a choice. One of the reasons why we are human is because we have the capacity to reason, to make judgment. And if we just took traditions which were handed down, or any sort of dogmatic thinking which was handed down from generations from before, we wouldn't really matter. We'd be no better than robots. So that's why I think we matter.
Wonderful. I saw another hand.
I don't know about the youth, I'm more on the mature end, but going as a parent, 3 children, community leader involved with children, and as a person now taking masters to become a teacher, it's their world. It's not mine anymore. It's only a part of mine. But watching that next generation and what they're going to do with it, and let them lead so I can follow and do what needs to be done.
Fabulous. Anyone on this side of the room? Please.
I think the youth matter because we have a tremendous amount of energy within us, which dies off as we grow older.
Excuse me.
No. I'm sorry, but well, it slows down.
The expression. Oh, no, please go ahead.
Well, I feel that we have a lot of energy within us that needs to be directed somewhere, and if we get people who can be able to mentor us and direct our energy towards doing something important to the world, then we can bring a bigger change. Also because we have a lot of ideas in our head and are not particular to one direction at this point. And if we get people to open up the world and help us realize what exactly we can do with these ideas, we could also do something better than just sit and cause trouble at home.
That was beautiful. And I can tell you, for someone who didn't start drinking coffee until 5 years ago, I started this morning and I had 3 cups. So I appreciate the idea of energy waning a little bit as we get older. So a couple things I'd put down. Age is not just a number, but ideas, if translated properly, can save lives and change the world. And I really believe that, and I think that's come out from the folks that have spoken. And I have a little picture here. It may not come out, but it's a truck going into a tunnel. And there's the old story that goes, there was this big truck that was stuck under an underpass because it was too high for the underpass to get through. The driver wasn't paying attention. This big truck is there. And you had all these people from the municipality coming in, all, the senior people, because apparently one of the officials from the government was trying to get through, and so they brought in all these folks. No one could figure it out. It's about 8-10 hours later, and there's a little child that's there, and just shouts, "Daddy, Daddy, why don't they let the airs out of the tire?" Sounds like a good idea. Guess what? It worked. So, we have to keep our eyes and ears open for ideas from either the very young, very old, or in between. Another important concept that we've heard is what we need to do is rethink how we're doing business. And a very famous person in honor of them that passed away recently, C.K. Pralahad, who came up with this idea of base of the pyramid, is that how do we re-engineer some of the things that we do that look at markets that target $1 billion to maybe think about how do we target markets that actually affect over 1 billion people. So the other thing that I put forth to you is 2 quotes. There's a professor, William Easterly, points out that in 2005, we were able to deliver over 9 million copies of the Harry Potter book series worldwide within a couple days. But yet internationally, we're still unable to deliver medicines that are 12 cents for saving a child's life. So with all this, what does it suggest? It suggests that we need new approaches. And how do we get new approaches? We involve new blood, we involve new ideas, and that's why it's been such a privilege and a pleasure not only to work with folks like you, but to be here to speak to you and hopefully hear about some of your ideas. Humility or shikamo. So we all know in the U.S. through the recent reforms that we haven't been doing